Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. I can't believe it's Friday again already. I don't know where the time's gone. It seems like 5 minutes ago since last week. It's just flown by. So it's been a couple of weeks since I did a YouTube video because I've been busy with shows on the craft store and prep with my new release. I had to do lots of samples, so it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on YouTube. I can't believe it. I just don't know where the time goes. So I thought I'd put that right and do a video today for YouTube. So it's Friday, and what time is it? It's 10:53 on a Friday. So I thought what I'd do is I might do a seasonal make. I haven't done a seasonal make for a while. So I thought it's nice to show how adaptable the stamps are. So what I'm going to do is I've got a piece of white card, 6 inches square, and I'm using smooth white card. And what I'm going to do is just make sure that's sort of on my card around about even. And this is just a container I'm drawing around. And the reason I'm drawing around a container is I don't have any big circle dies. I don't have any of the huge ones that I can draw around or anything, so I'm just using a container. So that's something I probably need to invest in, is some large circle dies. But what I wanted to do is create some kind of wreath, and I thought I'd draw a circle. I know some people they do it freehand, and they stamp one here, one here, one here and one here, and then fill in the gaps. But I like to do it this way. We're all different, aren't we? So what I'm going to do is just grab a block, and I've got a new A7 acrylic block here that I haven't got out the packaging yet, so let's use a new one. There we go. And what I'm going to do is, I thought I'd use, excuse me, these little stamps on my owl stamp. And it's funny because Diane used these as well on a wreath, so it's funny how we all think similar things, but these work beautifully for a wreath. So what I'm going to do, this wrapping is all ripped, this stamp is well used, but it's nice to use things in different ways. So I'm going to use these stamps. Now I don't want the small one or the big one at the moment. Can you tell I can't make my mind up? So yes, I think we'll use that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use brown inks just to be a little bit more delicate. Now this is VersaFine Clair Pinecone, so it's still quite a dark colour, but not quite as dark as black. So what I'm going to do is just go around my circle, just adding some of this foliage, and we can infill the gaps as much as we want, just using parts of the stamp as well. So I'm just going to go round, and this circle just gives me an idea. Turn my card because it's far easier. Just gives me an idea that I'm going in some sort of circle, so it doesn't end up, because I can erase the pencil lines afterwards. It just means I'm not going round in some kind of obscure shape, and I can add it and give as much layers as I want once I've got the initial shape. So just add these around, and this little stamp on the owl is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Sometimes we overlook the little stamps, and sometimes they're what we use the most. It varies each time with different people, but the little stamps are just brilliant. Let me just get a white because we've just inked the non-stick craft sheet. We don't want that. Just remove that. So I'm just going round, just adding these, and it's nice and easy to stamp. Nice and easy indeed. Just keep going round. I love these kind of makes where I can use little bits of the stamps, and I can use different stamps from different ones, from different sets. I love doing that, and that's why I design. And sometimes that's why I add these little elements, just so that it gives you another dimension to your range of stamps. So just going around. You could use leaves to do a wreath. I've got plenty of leaves that you can use for the wreath. So lots of possibilities. So now you can have this any way you want, any which way you want. So I'll just let that ink dry before I do any erasing. So you could leave it nice and simple like that, or we've got another little stamp. One of my nails is broken and I can't pick anything up for anything. There's a little stamp here as well. Little tiny one. Let's just look what it looks like. So what you can do is you can infill with this tiny stamp. Do first generation and second generation stamping. Let me just lift that up just so that you can see. Let's make sure that we're not going to get any dirty marks. First generation and second generation, just so that you can see that. So you can add that all around. So let's give a little bit more depth to the design. It just gives it a little bit more foliage. So you can do first generation and then second generation. If you add the second generation, it does give it a little bit more depth. First generation, and you don't have to do the second generation in the same place. You can do third generation as well. You don't have to just keep it to the first generation. So just keep going round and adding a little bit of depth to your wreath. It just gives it a bit of thickness to your wreath, and you can vary it up by adding the first generation in different places and the second generation in different places. And what's good is when you're using these little stamps, it doesn't matter if you over stamp, not a problem at all. So turn your card around. It makes it a lot easier if you turn the card. So second and third generation. And if you turn your card, it does make it easier rather than trying to turn the stamp. And make sure you add them at different intervals. Don't try and make it so it's so regimented that they're stamped in exactly the same place every time. Let me just lift this up just so that you can see where we're going. So can you see we've got that first generation and second generation and third generation stamping. And the brown just gives it a little bit of softness, I feel. So turn your card rather than your stamp. And if necessary, just step back just so that you can see where you need a little bit of stamping, where you need some infill with the little stamp. If you think you need a little bit of infill from the little stamp, just step back from the card and just see where you want a little bit of infill. And because I drew that circle initially, it means I've stayed in that circular shape. It's so easy to create a shape that isn't quite circular. That's why it's nice just to draw that circle. I find it easier doing it that way anyway. You know, everybody does it in different ways. So just do it third generation as well. And this little stamp on the owl is so easy to use. And if you wanted, you could add the owl to the inside of your wreath, and that could still be a card that doesn't have to be seasonal. You know, it's just thinking about your stamps in different ways each time. And I've even done fourth generation there. So, such a usable stamp. Very usable. Obviously, the other thing you need to think about is if you've got something going in the centre and you're a bit worried about doing all this work and then stamping the centre and it doesn't work out right, you could stamp the central image first and then do this afterwards. I haven't thought about what I'm putting in the centre area yet, so that's why I haven't added it. But if you already know, because you've, unlike me, you planned your card and you know what's going in the centre, then you can add the centre piece first if you wish. You could add a butterfly into here. You know, you could add whatever you want. Could you tell I couldn't tell where I'd gone then? I was thinking, where is it? Where am I going? So yes, it's entirely up to you if you want to do that first. And you can see where you've got a few gaps. I can anyway. So I can just see where I want where I just want some second generation and third generation stamping. So let's just add one there. There we go. And I think I'm quite happy with that. Let me show you that. Let's just put that little stamp back. So at the moment I've used the owl stamp. So created a wreath and created from the owl stamp, just so that you can see I've created a lovely wreath. And you could add little touches of red as well if you wish. So that's from the little owl stamp. Let's just place that back. I can see, you see this, the only thing with this is you can keep going. You'll keep thinking, oh, I could just add a little bit more here. Oh, I could just add a little bit more here. So it is so easy to think, just a little bit more there. A little bit more there. A little bit of second generation there. And third generation there. And Tracy's going to keep, I think I'll leave that on the block because it's going to be one of them stamps I am going to keep adding to. So what I'm thinking now is, where's my stencil? Yes, I've got the stencil here. And what I can do is just add some stars just in my circular, and I'm keeping it monochromatic with the browns. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink. Just going to hold this in place, and I'm just going to add a few stars. And you can just lift your stencil up just to see which stars you've got. If you want to add a little bit more depth, no, I don't think I want to add more depth because I want to keep it quite delicate. Don't want to add too much. and then just add a few here. Don't want it to be too overpowering. Just add a few here and there. I think that's, let's add a couple here as well. There we go, just a few stars in the background. Let me just wipe that stencil, just so it's nice and clean, well, cleanish. There we go. So what I'm thinking now, I've got this Pinecone stamp. You see, on the Pinecone stamp, you could add these leaves. We could add a few of these leaves to the wreath as well. But let's just have a look at what we've got. Let's have a look at that acetate, because I think it makes it easier for me if I just look at the acetate. This is quite a big stamp. Let me just move this out of the way. This is where all my stamps will fall off. Let's see. So I could add it. Just play around with the acetate. See, or do I want the big stamp? I told you my stamps would all fall off because one's just fallen off, and that's the foliage. Just thinking, how much bigger is that one than that one? It's a little bit bigger, isn't it? Can have a bit of the foliage coming down, or do I want that one? So spend a bit of time just deciding. See, that's got a bit of foliage. Can't make my mind up which one I want now. Let's go for this. Shall we go for the big one? Oh, I hope you take as long as me deciding, because I'm just a nightmare. So do I just, yeah, no. It's going to be the small one. Oh dear me. After all that, it's going to be the small one. Honestly, I am just terrible. I'm terrible for faffing and knowing what I really want. I need my A6 block. Oh, good grief. Of course, the A6 block I won't be able to find. There we go. Got my A6 block, which has also got ink on it. I think all my blocks have got ink on. So I'm going to ink that up with the VersaFine Claire. And I'm going to 3D the Pinecone anyway. Just ink that up. There's a beautiful bird on this stamp set that would also look lovely in here. So just don't want a couple of, just wipe those just so they're not too detailed. So just adding that there, and just allow the ink to rest. Just allow it to rest in there. And I can lift the stamp just to make sure I've got the detail, like so. And we're going to 3D. Let me just show you. You can't tell initially because I'm just going to 3D that. Going to 3D this element here. So now when we 3D it, we can add 1 or 2 to those. Just let me show you the bird that you could also add. Just so if you wanted, you could have, oh, I can't pick this up. You could have added the little bird on here as well. So you could have added that as well. Just looks just as nice, just with the bird. I may be adding some blackbirds, to be honest. Just checking. Oh, you see, I could faff for ages when I'm making these cards. Right, let's get some more card. So what I'm going to do is take my pine cone again. Just ink that up. I'm doing a good job of getting ink on my acrylic blocks. So just ink that. I'm going to do 2. I might not use 2, but we'll see. But I'm going to cut out 2. You don't need the foliage, you just need the, because I'm not going to cut out those thin pieces of foliage. Just going to just take these. And then we can just cut those out. Now I haven't prepped those, so let's just get a piece of copy of paper and just give those a blot. Give those a blot just to make sure they're nice and dry, and then let's give those, cut those out. Just to give us some dimension to the design. And it's quite an easy image to cut out because it's quite big, so it's quite easy to cut out. And this will just add the much needed dimension that we need. And we will colour those in as well. So it will just give us the dimension. Let's bring this in. We just need to decide whether we want to add 1 or 2. We need to colour that as well. So we just need to decide whether we want the 1 or the 2. You can also add little slits into these bits here, just so that those stick up like a proper acorn. Acorn. I've got acorns on the brain. Pine cone. You could, in fact, add the acorns to the wreath as well. I've got so many stamps that to do things with. It's just, you never run out of ideas, to be honest. So do I want 1 or do I want 2? Let's colour them in and then let's look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my no, that's gathered twigs. I'm going to use my vintage photo and just colour those. Just with some of the vintage photo. And what I'm going to do is just colour the backs of the card as well, just so that when you see the card from underneath, you know, if you're bending the card and having a good close look, that it's just shaded at the back as well. So just add that. And then just scrunch them up a little bit, just so they look a little bit more realistic. Just scrunch them up a little bit. Just give them a scrunch. Have I got some brown pencil? Just see if I've got a brown pencil. I don't know why I keep some pencils out and other pencils I don't bother. But I've got a nice brown polychromo pencil here, just to add a little bit of dimension, just in the darker areas, just to give it a little bit more depth, just to colour in a little bit more, just to give it, just so that it's not too flat. And that's why I've bent it as well, just so they're not too flat. Don't like it too flat. So just adding a little bit of shading, just here and there, just with that. So this is where I end up faffing so much. So you could have the one like so. And I'm thinking, do I want two? I think I do want two. But do I want it that way or do I want it that way? I hope you faff as much as I do, because I am the world's worst. Yeah, because let me just get my, I think I've got some twigs. I have got some twigs. You can get twigs from the garden. It doesn't have to be twigs. These are twigs I got from Amazon, I think. Just some little twigs. I'm going to end up with 150 things here. Just so right. So let's place that. Let's adhere these down, just so they're stuck down and we can faff a little bit more. Just because I love faffing. It's just the way I am. Don't stick all of it down. So have it so that the base here, this bit here, has got bits sticking up. Just looks a little bit more realistic when it isn't all totally stuck down. Let me just hold that down. Do you know I'm holding that down? I don't think I added any adhesive. I didn't. It's not going to stick much, is it, if I don't put any adhesive. There we go. You two can faff as much as I do. Just add that there. Like so. And then what I'm wanting to do, so just have a look at that through the camera. It's always best to look at it through the camera. And what I'm thinking is, I want these twigs just at the top, just to give me, but what I'm going to do is, I've got these little berries again. I got them from Amazon. So what I can do, and they've got, it's funny because they've got bits of wire on the berries. So it makes it nice and easy for me to add a berry if I want. Of course we can't add one berry, can we? Of course we can't. They've got to be facing different ways. You do know that, don't you? Like so. Obviously, if you're sending this in the post and you don't want to add the berries, then don't add the berries, so that you know, you don't have to add it to a box. I'm one of those people that if I'm making a special card, I'll either hand deliver it, or if I can't hand deliver it, then I'll put it in a box. It's just me, that is. Make it so we haven't got all this wire. And I also faff with berries forever. I faff with them forever before I stop messing with them. Right, let's get some. Few little bits just to embellish. So what I've got now is I've got my ultra thick, spit it out Tracy, ultra thick gel medium. So just grab my little palette knife. I use the ultra thick gel medium because I can make sure that I've got a good dollop on there, and don't worry, we'll hide that. We'll hide that dollop, so don't go into stress mode. Just press that down. Okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit to the twigs as well. A little bit of that gel medium. Let me just pick a bit up. Yes, I'm doing the usual faffing. So I'm adding a bit of gel medium just to my twigs as well, because I'm going to sprinkle something on there. Well, you should have guessed that, shouldn't you, really? Just make sure when you put your lid on your mediums that you make sure there's none of the medium around the lid, because if it's around the lid you won't get an airtight closure, and if you don't get an airtight closure, your mediums will just dry up. So what we're going to do now is we've got some gel medium over there, and just here and there add a little bit of adhesive, just here and there. Just around, so I'm just adding PVA glue just around, just a few dots of PVA glue just around the wreath. So don't think about it, just go quite quick and don't think about it too much. So what I'm going to do first, the first thing I'm going to sprinkle is grab a piece of scrap paper, pick this up, and the first thing I'm going to sprinkle are some mica flakes. If you haven't got mica flakes, use some glitter. So I'm just going to pour those mica flakes on there, and I'm just going to press them in to that adhesive. Just press them in to the adhesive. Now you're just going to have to hold everything in place. So hold everything in place and then tip. Now what you would do if you're not doing a live video is you would not tip that off until the adhesive is dry. So just tip over the mica all over the PVA glue that you've just added. You know, the dots of PVA glue that you've added. So just press it over. Press that over your PVA glue. I actually like doing this bit because the card actually comes to life. Okay. Just make sure you hold that in place and give it a good shake, like so. Move that out the way, and then we can put these mica flakes back again, because I've had these from one year to the next. Let me just show you. Let me see if we can just see those mica flakes. Let me see if I can just lift the camera up just so that you can see those mica flakes. Just tilt them to the side just so that you can see that. And obviously when the gel medium, the ultra thick gel medium and the PVA glue dries, it will dry completely clear. And then what you can do is to make it sparkle a bit more, when it's all dried, add a bit more PVA glue dotted here, there and everywhere, and sprinkle some glitter. So then it just adds another little interest for you. Right, what we're going to do now is decide what else we're going to add. Let's just put that away, like so. Just deciding. You see, you could add, I don't know what I've done with that bird stamp. You could add the little bird here. That would look nice. Oh, let's just have a look at our blackbirds. Oh, that's because the little bird stamp is stuck underneath. Right, let's just have a look at the Blackbird stamp set. I like to mess with the acetate a little bit. Just gives me a better idea about what I want. See, we could have the little blackbirds in a sentiment. Yes, I think we might have the blackbirds. So let's just get the sentiment from the Pinecone stamp set. What does this say? Yeah, absolutely. There is beauty all around us. And that is from the Pinecone stamp set. Now, if you want, you could stamp that onto a piece of white card and add the sentiment. I might actually add it to a piece of white card just to give me a little bit more dimension. So there is beauty all around us, and I'm going to stamp that in black. Not that I can actually see a black ink pad because there's so much stuff everywhere. So just give that a good inking and stamp that onto a piece of white card. I love that sentiment. There is beauty all around us. And yes, I read it. I have to read it out. Just one of those awful habits that I've got. So I'm just going to cut that out on my cutter, which I'm doing on the floor. Just to cut that out. So we're just cutting that out on my cutter. Can't pick the card up. So we can had with an H. So what we can do is we can decide if you want to use the white card or we can stamp it directly onto here and see which we prefer. I do this a lot. I sort of, when I've got no set plan, I do faff around a little bit. So I'm just going to take the black little hair on there. Don't want, no, we want it here, don't we? So I'm stamping it directly on the card because what I'm doing is I'm deciding whether I want it stamped directly on the card or whether I want to add the white piece of card. So you've got there is beauty all around us. And then what I can do is look in camera. Let me just pick this up. There is beauty all around us. So I can hold this up to camera and just decide whether you want it like that, where you've got the sentiment, or whether you want it like that. You see, if you have it like this, we can have a little bird sitting on the top, couldn't we? Or if we have it like that, we can have the blackbirds. Oh dear me, too much choice, too much choice. Far too much choice. Right. First of all, let's clean our hands, because I've now got black ink over my fingers. So just giving my fingers a little bit of a wipe. And what I'm going to do is grab those blackbirds, just on my A7 acrylic block. And what I can do is I can have a look. Oh yes, I like them on there. So what I'm going to do is grab my little star stamp. Let's just find it. There it is, just where I need it, because I've got it on a shelf already. So that's good. We need that. We need a VersaFine Clair that we've used quite a bit. I like it because it means I don't have to bin those ones that I've used quite a bit. Oh, I'm making such a mess. But I'm enjoying myself, that's the main thing. So what I'm doing is I'm inking the blackbirds with a VersaFine Clair that is a little bit older, that has been used quite a bit. So I'm just inking that up. So it's not super juicy like when you have a brand new one. That's all I'm saying. Then just spend half an hour deciding. Press the star stamp onto the blackbirds. And then just add the blackbirds. And unlike me, try not to take forever to decide where you're going to place them. That's just me. And because it's a silhouette, I'm just allowing that ink to sit on there. Let me just hold that up. Oops, I can't hold it up because I can't pick the card up. Can you just see the stars on the blackbird's body, which echoes the stars here as well, just so that you can see that. But you know what else you could have done? Let me just show you. What else you could have done is grab a piece of card, what else you could have done is take the little stamp that we used in the wreath, ink the blackbird up, take the little stamp that we used in the wreath, stamp that on, just stamp that off so you don't place it back on the blackbird. And then you'd have had blackbirds with that background stamp on. Let me just lift that. Obviously it's not as definite as, but there you go. It's got that background stamp on. So you could have had the blackbirds like that. Lots of ways just to use your stamps, which makes me happy that they all just work so beautifully together, which is what I like. And if you wanted, you could add little touches of red just to the little stampings around the outside edge if you wanted to. But what I'm going to do is grab my glitter. Hopefully I've got some glitter. Yes, we have. You can tell the glitter's not been out for a bit. You really can. Scrap of paper. Of course, this is going to be impossible to pick up on camera. Absolutely impossible. So I want my PVA, and just add little bits of PVA, and just make sure it's coming out. Just go around your card, just adding little dots. Don't think about it too much, because that ruins the whole effect if you think about it too much. I'm picking up mica flakes now. Just add a little bit of glitter here and there. Okay. And then what you can do is just sprinkle the glitter. This is where I end up with glitter everywhere. Hold this in place. Like so. Oh, it's glistening now. It's glistening now like a proper card. There we go. So what I'm using is Distress Dry Glitter, it's called. Now, let me just clear. Ask me if I've got glitter everywhere now. You won't see the shimmer. The birds have even got shimmer on. Oh yes, you can see the shimmer on the birds. I can see it glistening. But the whole card absolutely glistens. It's very difficult to get it on camera, but it does glisten. The whole card does. Now, I was going to mat this on black. Let me show. But I don't want to mat it on black because I don't think it looks the part. I know we've got those blackbirds, but I think I need another piece of card. So let me grab another piece of card. Of course, you can't pick the card up because it takes you ages. And what I'm going to do is do a matte in brown. So that's 6.5 inches square. No, that's 6 inches square. So we need to do 6 1/4 inches square. So 6 1/4. Just to give it a matte in the beige colour. But if you wanted, you could dot little bits of colour around your wreath. I love how the birds are a bit sparkly as well. It's quite nice. So take my vintage photo. Let's hope we haven't got too much glitter gathering everywhere. Just going to use my cut and dry foam just to add a rich brown matte. It doesn't matter where it feathers because that's going to be covered up when you put the mat on. Just take your time. It feels strange using glitter and mica flakes when I'm in October. I mean, I always use mica flakes anyway. I use mica flakes not just for Christmas, but it just seems strange to use glitter. I know we're on the 1st of August. 1st of August, is it Sunday? Crikey, where has that time gone? So just add that rich brown mat, like so. Let's just wipe up the area. Just think it'll look better with that brown mat. Absolutely it does. So is it going to allow us to stick that on? Let me just move this down. Let me just hold that. And let's just, I do like it to get the card finished if I can. It's not always possible because, let me just hold this. Sometimes you need to let things dry. Obviously when you're doing a video it's not always possible to let things dry. So just place that on there, like so. Just pick that up because I like to just faff to make sure it's nice and level. And then just bring your card blank in to add that card blank to there. And I'm just wondering if I've got any little Christmas embellishments. It's funny because the Blackbird really does glisten. The Blackbird's so glisteny. Obviously because that ink was still a bit wet, so the glitter's nicely stuck to the Blackbirds. It's lovely. It really does look lovely. Let me just see if I've got any embellishments that are just Christmassy. Don't know, think I've got any stars or anything like that. Any stars. Isn't it funny? All the embellishments I've got. Just looking through my embellishments just to see if there's anything that we can use just to anything in there. What does that say? No. So just spend a few minutes just looking through your embellishments just to see if you've got anything that you can use in your embellishments. Let's have a look in this little embellishment drawer just to see if there's anything we can use. It'd be nice if we got a little star. If you've got a little star embellishment. I have that many embellishment, nobody knows. They're paint. We don't want a paintbrush, do we? Don't think a paintbrush would go quite well with it, do you? No, it wouldn't. I'll just drop them over there. Oh, but look what I've got here. Little pine cones. See, it is worth looking through your embellishments. And I've got silver pine cones and copper pine cones. So it's worthwhile having a look. You never know what you've quite got. So I've got these little, I think these were from Amazon as well, you know. Look at these little pine cones. Little Diddle Diddy Pinecone embellishments, which are quite sweet. Just need to, you see, you could even have the bird holding a pine cone. But where do I want the... You have to bear with me because it's just what I do. I just faff. Yeah, I know instantly. I know instantly where I want the embellishments. So just add one there. Little embellishments, just finish it off quite nicely. One there, bring that up a bit. So let me just show you that. Just so that you can see that. And I'm not going to add any white splatters because that's not this kind of card. So just so you can see the shimmer on the dragonflies, you can see the mica flakes. We've got a nice circular wreath. If you wanted, you could add touches of red just in these here that could be like your berries, like so. You can see the sparkle, you can see the mica flakes. Just bring that, and all your glue will dry clear. You've got those two little pine cones embellishments. Just love that. And I think that's enough for the card. I don't think it needs any more. So if you haven't got pine cone embellishments, you could use a little star embellishment, something like that. But I'm quite pleased with that card for a seasonal make. Looks quite classy. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it inspires you to use your stamps in different ways and mix and match your stamps in different ways. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend. I'm hoping that it's not going to rain because I have another border that I need to sort out. It's just, honestly, in this garden it seems to be I clear one area and then the next area needs clearing. It just it's continual. I always need to clear an area, but it keeps me out of mischief, doesn't it? So I hope you've all got something lovely planned for the weekend, even if you're just relaxing and spending time with family. And I hope you're all well, and I shall see you all soon. Love to all. Bye for now.